Okay, here we are in Microeconomics Chapter 4, Aplia. I included the first question, even though you probably in general got it right, just to highlight how important this is to differentiate between changes that cause shifts in the curves and changes that cause movements along the curve. This is a function of the way we graph them, because a graph is price against quantity. Changes in price will cause a change in quantity demanded or quantity supplied. That's a movement along the curve. Nothing else is explicitly on this graph, so everything else causes a shift in the curves. So movement along versus shift, very important whenever you're thinking through things. Okay, the second question in this assignment was a little bit more interesting. Think about the market for pens. Suppose the number of students with an allergy to pencil erasers increases, causing more students to switch from pencils to pens in schools. Now that's a change in demand, right? That's a shift in the demand curve. So on this particular example, I shifted the curve from D1 to D2. So shifting from D1 to D2, just moving that thing around, causes the equilibrium price and quantity to both increase. The second shift in this question was the price of ink. So the price of ink is important in pen production, and it is increasing considerably. That shifts supply back. So supply 1 shifts to supply 2. A decrease in supply like that causes the price to go up and the quantity demanded to go down. So these two shifts had different effects on quantity demanded. In the graph that I drew right here, the change in demand is small, the change in supply is very high. Therefore, at the new equilibrium point, the quantity demanded went down. Both shifts cause the price to go up, so for sure the price is going to go up. But in this particular case, because the shift in demand was smaller than the shift in supply, the change in quantity demanded in equilibrium quantity demanded goes down, because that shift outweighed the other shift. On this graph, I drew it in the opposite way. So the shift in demand is high, the shift in supply is small. So the price still goes up, right? Because again, both a decrease in supply and an increase in demand cause price to go up. On the other hand, the increase in demand causes quantity demanded to increase, equilibrium. The decrease in supply causes quantity demanded to decrease. But the demand is big, supply is small, therefore the net increase was an increase in quantity demand, in equilibrium quantity. So the opposite result as the previous graph. So when you compare these two in scenario 1, equilibrium price increases, equilibrium quantity goes down. In scenario 2, equilibrium price increases, equilibrium quantity also increases. So when shift magnitudes are unknown, in cases like this, the equilibrium price will go up for sure, because both scenarios show an increase in equilibrium price. You can't determine what happens to equilibrium quantity, because whether or not it goes up or down depends on whether or not supply or demand had the largest shift. So you have to pay attention to these, so when you have two shifts going on, you will probably know for sure either price or quantity, but you won't know both. So the true or false question here then is false. When both supply and demand curves shift, you can't always know what's going to happen to equilibrium price or quantity unless you know the magnitude of the shifts. So any questions, send me an email. Thanks, bye-bye.